Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition. I feel the force.
All right. Legalizing marijuana would more than double its potential market if a new Huffington Post YouGov poll is to be believed. The poll indicates that 26% of Americans say they would buy cannabis if it was legal in their state, compared to 9% who said they already buy it, reports Emily Swanson at the Huffington Post. The percentage who said they would buy marijuana often jumped from 1% who already do so to 4% who said they would buy it often if it were legal. When asked how often they would buy cannabis, 18% said they'd buy it more often than they do now if it was legal. That includes 16% who said they'd never buy cannabis now, but would, at least on rare occasions, get it if it was legal. Those under 30 were more likely to say both that they'd buy cannabis if it was legal, which was 35%, and that they already do so now, which is 16%. But even among those 65 and older, almost none of whom said they ever buy marijuana now, 9% said they'd get it at least occasionally if it were legal. Although big alcohol and big tobacco seem a bit spooked by the prospect of legal cannabis, after all, both have contributed millions to keep cannabis illegal. There are more potential buyers for both alcohol and tobacco products than for cannabis products. 81% of respondents said they have used alcohol before, and 61% have smoked cigarettes, but only 41% of people admit that they have tried marijuana. Another 11% say they'd consider trying it if it were legal. Of those who tried alcohol and would consider trying marijuana, 43% said they'd still buy alcohol more often than cannabis, and only 23% said they'd buy cannabis more often if it were legal. Those who tried tobacco and considered trying marijuana were somewhat more likely to say they'd buy cannabis instead of cigarettes if both were legal, 37% to 31%. Of all the respondents, 18% said they have used tobacco but would never consider trying cannabis, while 9% say they would consider trying cannabis but have never tried tobacco. 29% of those polled said the price of marijuana would increase if it were legal, and 25% said they thought it would decrease, and 15% said they would expect it to remain the same. The poll was conducted in October among 1,000 U.S. adults selected to match the demographics and other characteristics of the U.S. adult population. Colorado and Washington, with their new recreational marijuana laws, and the 20 medical marijuana states are grappling with the question of driving under the influence of cannabis. Lawmakers seem to feel some actions required, although there hasn't been anything remotely resembling a rash of marijuana-related accidents, as has been the case with alcohol. A recent study published in the peer-reviewed medical journal Clinical Chemistry suggests that a marijuana breath test might work for law enforcement to test for THC in drivers, like the breathalyzer test performed to determine the level of alcohol intoxication, according to Matt Ferner at the Huffington Post. The THC blood test, which is currently used, remains controversial, especially since it involves blood drawn from the suspect. According to the new study, scientists collected breath samples from folks who'd used marijuana 4 or more times per week, and also from occasional users, fewer than 2 times per week, after they smoked a joint containing 6.8% THC. THC turned out to be the main cannabinoid found in the breath sample. It's generally the one as marijuana's main psychoactive compound, which is believed to affect driving ability. No breath samples contain THC-COOH, the cannabis metabolite that's formed in the body after marijuana is consumed. Only one sample contains CBN, or cannabinol, an oxidative product of THC being broken down. CBN slightly psychoactive, but much weaker than THC. All the breath samples for heavy smokers in the test group tested positive for THC just under an hour after smoking marijuana. Fewer samples tested positive as time passed, and about 4 hours after using cannabis, only one heavy user sample still tested positive. About 90% of the breath samples tested positive for THC among the occasional smokers just under an hour after toking, and positive for about another hour and a half. One occasional smoker had no detectable THC in the breath sample. According to the researchers, they concluded, quote, breath may offer an alternative matrix for testing under the recent driving under the influence of cannabis, but is limited to a short detection window. The detection window is believed to be between 30 minutes to 2 hours after smoking cannabis. Psychoactive effects of cannabis wear off within 3 to 4 hours, with THC blood levels peaking at about 5 to 10 minutes after toking, and then gradually falling, according to a study from the Marijuana Policy Project. THC blood tests involving blood draws are currently the norm in most states that regulate marijuana use while driving. Many of them have set a level of 5 nanograms of THC per milliliter of blood, above which drivers are considered under the influence of marijuana, despite the fact there's no solid research to establish a correlation between 5 nanograms per milliliter and driving impairment. You see, unlike blood alcohol levels, which actually have a direct correlation with impairment, THC blood levels don't necessarily indicate any impairment at all in the real world, only in the faulty laws written up by panic legislators or others who'd give us initiatives that might include them, such as in Washington. In one study, 6 of the 25 participants who'd consumed cannabis still tested positive for the active levels of THC after 7 full days of abstaining. As pointed out last year by Colorado Senator Pat Stedman, THC is fat soluble, which means blood levels could regain or remain above the legal limit for days after the individual's last legally used cannabis. The user wouldn't appear high and wouldn't be impaired, but would still be charged for marijuana DUI. With that in mind, Stedman tried and failed to exempt medical marijuana patients from the cannabis DUI bill in Colorado. A cannabis reporter for Denver's Westward illustrated Senator Stedman's point in 2011 when he tested nearly 3 times higher than Colorado's proposed legal limit after a night of sleep and not smoking marijuana for 15 hours. Our next story is about the medical effects of cannabis. With more and more older people being affected by neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and Huntington's, a link has been found between excess levels of iron in the brain and neurodegeneration. Researchers in Brazil looked at how the cannabinoid cannabidiol, CBD, can help those suffering from such conditions. The researchers from Pontifical Catholic University focused on the mitochondria, which are found in most cells and housed inside a membrane, reports Drake Dorm at medicalmarijuana.com. Mitochondria generate most of the cell's energy. They're often called the cellular power plant. They control cell processes including apoptosis or programmed cell death. It had already previously been studied that CBD is able to treat some symptoms of neurodegenerative disease, stopping immune cells from attacking the insulating covers of the nerve cells, the myelin sheaths, in the spinal cord. One problem associated with neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's is less energy at the brain synapses, where neurons pass signals to each other. Excess iron seems to disrupt the dynamics of the mitochondria, causing them to initiate more cell death than usual. The researchers overloaded rats with iron, then treated some of them with CBD, according to their report in the scholarly journal Molecular Neurobiology. Excess iron results in protein associated with cell death, giving further evidence that iron disrupts mitochondrial balance. Promising results were obtained by the administration of CBD. The levels of proteins associated with cell death returned to normal with CBD treatment. The researchers concluded that CBD may protect the brain from the rapid cell death associated with excess iron. Since iron buildup has been associated with neurodegenerative diseases, the promising results obtained with CBD seem to point towards a successful way of preventing brain degeneration. Next story is from the UK. A scientist at the University of London St. George School of Medicine found that cannabinoids from marijuana can kill cancerous cells found in people with leukemia, a form of cancer which kills 24,000 people each year here in the United States. Dr. Y. Liu, an oncologist, reports, quote, "Cannabinoids have a complex action. It hits a number of important processes that cancers need to survive. For that reason, it has really good potential over other drugs that only have one function. I'm impressed by its activity profile and feel it has great future, especially if used with standard chemotherapies," end quote, Dr. Liu said. The study was recently published in the journal Anti-Cancer Research. It was funded by GW Pharmaceuticals, which makes a marijuana-derived nasal spray, Sativex, that's used to treat spasticity caused by multiple sclerosis. The study examined 6 different non-psychoactive cannabinoids, which, unlike THC, don't get you high. The cannabinoids were examined alone and in combination. They displayed a diverse range of therapeutic qualities that target and switch off pathways preventing cancer from growing, according to the U.S. News and World Report. The 6 cannabinoids studied by Liu and his team were cannabidiol, or CBD, cannabidiolic acid, or CBDA, cannabigerol, or CBG, and cannabigerolic acid, CBGA, cannabigiverin, CBGV, and cannabigivaric acid, or CBGVA. The cannabinoids appeared to be even more effective in combination with each other than alone. Liu said he hopes to start clinical trials involving humans in 12 to 18 months. From New Hampshire, University of New Hampshire WMUR Granite State poll shows that 60% of New Hampshire adults support a New Hampshire bill, HB 492, which would make marijuana legal and establish a regulated market for adults. Just 36% of people in New Hampshire oppose this. The New Hampshire House of Representatives Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee has voted 11-7 against recommending the passage of HB 492, a bill to regulate and tax marijuana like alcohol, despite this new poll showing strong public support for the measure. According to the WMR Granite State poll released October 25th by the University of New Hampshire, 60% of New Hampshire adults support this bill, HB 492. The poll of 603 randomly selected New Hampshire adults was conducted October 1st through the 7th and has a margin of error of plus or minus 4%. That's the end of our hemp news segment tonight. Are you ready to go over there, John?
Yes, sir. I think.
Here's Mr. John Cornett.
Right there. I was trying to absorb that. You know, I heard that if you, yes, they are. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. We got so much good, useful information coming out. You know, people don't know where to go, what to do, so the more it comes out, the more we'll have. I'm going to do an old song a lot of people heard about. This is for all the lonely people thinking their life has left them dry. Don't give up until you drink from the silver cup, ride that highway in the sky. This is for all the single people thinking their love has left them dry. Don't give up until you've drink from the silver cup. Never know until you try. Well, I'm on my way, and I'm back to stay. Well, I'm on my way back home. This is for all the lonely people, thinking that life has left them dry. Don't give up until you drink from a silver cup. Never let you down, never give you up. Never know till you try. Thank you. Yeah. Was that America? I thought that was bread. It was America. You're right.
America. You know the words better, though. Hey, welcome, Casper.
Thank you so much.
Welcome, viewers. If you are watching tonight, it's Friday, November 1st. You can call us at that number there on your screen. It's 503-288-4442. We'll be taking your calls about ending adult marijuana prohibition, restoring industrial hemp, and helping medical marijuana patients. So you can call us there at 503-288-4442. Well, there's a lot of stories about marijuana helping kill cancer and stop neurodegenerative diseases. That's really encouraging.
It is, and it flies right in the face of the White House that has no hesitation to say ignorant things like medical marijuana does not exist, marijuana has no medicinal value. But constantly, it's like you said, every day when we wake up, there's a new study for Alzheimer's, for cancer, how it helps with cells, how it helps with depression, how it's helping with PTSD. And yet our leaders seem to be deaf to that situation.
Well, you know, on one hand, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, or the DEA, which is part of the United States Department of Treasury, and they're in control of drug regulation and drug scheduling. They have ruled that marijuana has no medicinal use whatsoever and have put it into Schedule 1 with LSD and a lot of other substances, PCP, things like that. So on one hand, they say the DEA, a federal agency, says marijuana has no medicinal use, while on the other hand, another federal agency, Health and Human Services, back in 2001, they patented cannabinoids for their anti-cancer, antioxidant, and for their ability to stop neurodegenerative diseases. So while the DEA says it has no medical use, the Health and Human Services says it's good for fighting cancer and neurodegenerative diseases.
Now, one thing I think is very interesting, Carl Olson has a program every Sunday morning on the Time for Hemp Broadcasting Network. Shameless plug, thank you. And one of the reasons why I wanted to make it a point to bring Carl to the network is because Carl has one message on his program that nobody else is carrying, and that is, in spite of the fact that we have legalized it for medicinal purposes in 20 states, right? 20 states now?
Yes, and the District of Columbia.
District of Columbia. The fact is, it's still Schedule 1, and at any time that the federal government wants to, on a whim, come rolling into Denver or Portland or Seattle and just shut everything down, they can.
Technically, they could.
And until we
they
get
haven't.
it moved,
you know, there have been over 700 dispensaries in Colorado for years now, and for the licensed dispensaries, none of the licensed dispensaries that weren't involved in trafficking to out-of-state people or selling to people who weren't medical patients, none of those dispensaries have been arrested at all.
No, they haven't been, but the point is that at any time they can do it. So until we get it moved from Schedule 1 out of there, in all honesty, we're still beating our head against the wall. And that is a very good point that he does make.
I don't know about beating your head against the wall. I mean,
Well,
I think everything we've done, obviously, you know, we have over 50,000 patients here in the state of Oregon who are able to legally possess, use, and grow marijuana.
But
and the federal government hasn't come in and bothered any of them that weren't shipping marijuana out of state or selling it.
But is he correct? They can do that. And until it's moved from Schedule 1, that still looms over them.
They can do whatever they want to do. If a police officer wants to arrest you for nothing at all, they can say you're under arrest and you have to go into court and defend yourself. And in fact, that's the issue. If you go into court, you take things to a jury, you can win. You know, and it's no fun when you're in the grip of the criminal justice system and they're incarcerating you and making you jump through their hoops. But in the end, a jury can acquit you.
But anyway, the impression I get is until it's moved from Schedule 1, it's still
That's
a
true.
problem.
It should
There's
be
still an ugly problem
out of
there.
the scheduling altogether, or at least Schedule 4. I
Right.
mean, but here in Oregon, our Board of Pharmacy has said it is now Schedule 2, and the legislature has revised the laws in the last legislative session to recognize that, and we had a very successful legislative session here in Oregon to revise those laws.
Now, what's up with going on in Oregon anyway? They're talking about how we're going to have dispensaries now, maybe even state-ran dispensaries. Is that right? And
We've had dispensaries for some time, especially here in Multnomah County. The police have decided not to prosecute those people, partly because they can't convict them if they fight the charges. But the state has moved in to regulate those under the Oregon Health Authority or the Oregon Health Department. And there are hearings, administrative rule hearings, to promulgate rules to comply with this new legislation. It was House Bill 3640.
Are they bringing recreational marijuana to the table now?
There's talk about it being referred to the voters next year. But, we have two initiatives in place, one a constitutional amendment, one a statutory measure, both of which would legalize marijuana. We want to put both of them on the ballot and pass both of them. And so those are out there. But the legislature is talking about referring a bill, so it's possible that if they refer a bill to the legislature, that we would remove or withdraw our statutory initiative, but still just go forward with the constitutional initiative, because that would really protect us overall. It would say that it's the end of marijuana prohibition and that people can't be arrested for marijuana, and so that would just change the whole dynamic with that constitutional initiative. It would end prohibition today. And so some of these statutory measures might not. So we'll see, especially the one the legislature's been kicking around. They want to tie it in, as they have up in Washington State, with the State Liquor Control Board. I think that's a mistake. A lot of people think the Liquor Control Board is corrupt, mainly because they've had to deal with them. And so anyway, we are taking your calls tonight. If you have a call for us tonight, you can call us at 503-288-4448, and we have a caller right now. Welcome to the show, caller.
Greetings, gentlemen and ladies, too.
Welcome.
I have an idea. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you. Yes, thank you.
Great. Hey, I've got an idea. I was listening to the Tom Hartman show on KBOO the other day, which they've just recently added. It's from 4 to 5 p.m. on KBOO.
Oh, I didn't know they added that. I know it used to be on
KPOJ 620.
yeah, KPOJ, but that went down.
Yeah. And anyway, when Bain Capital bought up Clear Channel, that's when that went down. I can tell you exactly the Friday it happened, right after the election day. But anyway, back to my main point. If either you or Casper or some other equally qualified person could do a daily 420, do it right at 418, 419, 420, 421, something like that, just close to 420, every Monday through Friday during the Tom Hartman broadcast. And what they do is they compile segments of his show, so it runs commercial-free. But for the people that don't know, KBOO is an FM radio station. It's been around since 1968. It's non-commercial, listener-supported. It's a 501c3, just like Portland Community Media. So consider it the PCM of the radio waves, the radio
Sure.
spectrum frequency. But anyway, would you or Casper or somebody else that you know in your circle of people that are pro-cannabis and are educated about it, could they do a daily radio show if I could convince KBOO to give you a 2-minute time slot?
Casper already does a
like,
daily radio show 5 days a week, so you just have to break down a little segment of it, I guess, for KBOO and other radio stations to pick up.
Well, if it's only for 2 minutes, I can pre-record that and send it out in weeks in advance. So we do live broadcasting at Time for Hemp Broadcasting Network.
Well, here's what I'll give you in a quick analogy. On the KBOO Evening News, Monday through Friday from 5 till 6 p.m., they have halfway through the 30-minute newscast. Sometimes they go till 6, a special deal. But sometimes during the 5 to 5:30 newscast, they have the daily commentary by Jim Hightower, and it's usually about 2 minutes and 20 seconds long, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that. The former Texas Agriculture Commissioner and liberal firebrand.
Yeah, he's hitting it right on the mark. And today was Brunch with Bernie on Tom Hartman, and he laid out quite a few facts that would be very unappealing to the pharmaceutical, petrochemical, military, congressional, industrial leeches that are sucking money out of our
I can see
banks,
you've
you
been
know,
listening to
right.
Gatewood Galbraith, the late great Kentucky lawyer Gatewood Galbraith that I love to quote.
What was his name again?
Gatewood Galbraith.
Gatewood Galbraith?
Yes.
Okay. I think I've seen the guy. I just never knew what his name was. But anyway,
He was a
maybe
guest
if
on
you
the show a
guys
few
can
times.
contact KBOO and anybody out there in the listening audience, maybe we could had enough people call KBOO and talk to the station manager and request a put somebody, you know, just call it Time for Hemp or something like that.
Imagine
or,
that.
The Cannabis Minute or Cannabis Commentary, the Daily Cannabis Commentary, or something like that. You know, just call
I
it
think
something,
I
you
think
know,
you've
like,
got a good idea there.
yeah,
I can
Jim-
see the
Jim
wheels starting to
Hightower's
turn in
called
Casper's head, you know.
The Hightower Lowdown is the name of his little 2-minute commentary. You guys could have a catchy name for it. I'm sure you come up with something.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know if
think
any of
he's
the ones
got
I just
one in
mentioned
mind.
were worth a consideration or not. But anyway, I'll let you guys get back to your work. Thanks for all the good work you guys do there. And
You're very welcome.
Explore
Thanks
hemp.
for that idea.
damn it, you guys have a good night. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Night. We have another caller. Welcome to the show, caller. Maybe we do. Maybe we don't. Not there either.
I had a lot of fun at Halloween.
What'd you do?
I dressed up like Eric Holder and scared the hell out of all of my friends.
Okay. Okay. I just handed out a few little candy bars.
Yeah?
I had Twix. So
Yeah.
it was Twix or treat.
We would kick in doors and throw smoke grenades and then go, oh, wrong address, and leave.
Ah. Sounds pretty frightening to me. Gosh golly. If you have a question or comment for these two wild yahoos here on the TV screen, you can give us a call at 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. If you want to get involved in our efforts to end marijuana prohibition in Oregon and elsewhere, we have 2 initiatives in circulation right now. We're working our way up to 20,000 signatures. Initiative 21 is a constitutional amendment that needs 116,000 valid registered Oregon voter signatures by next July to qualify for a vote a year from now in November 2014. Initiative I-22 is a statutory measure. It only needs 87,000 valid registered Oregon voter signatures, again by late July to qualify for that vote next year. Then contact our office. There's the office address at 2712 Northeast Sandy Boulevard, or you can call us at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. And so we have an audience member who has a question.
I noticed that there's a competing petition going around to legalize marijuana in Oregon from another outfit. In what way is it different than the two that you have up, and why wouldn't one of you go in with the other one to try to get it? Would it be
You know, I worked in helping draft that other initiative, but at this point it is not in circulation yet. They're still, I think they just filed their wording a week ago. So I am not sure why we're not working together. You know, it's schisms is all I can say. But we think we'll be on the ballot before they can even get out the gate. So that's the answer to that one. We have another caller on the line. Welcome to the show, caller. Hello, caller.
Hey, everybody. This is
Howdy.
Chris.
How are you, Chris?
I'm doing great tonight. How are y'all doing at Cannabis Common Sense?
Very well. What's going on with you?
Wonderful. Well, I just wanted to take a quick second to reach out to your listeners and to everybody there at Cannabis Common Sense. You may have heard, Paul, that we're starting up the Cannabis Club Crawl.
Right.
Got a little written description here.
Go right
we're
ahead.
asking people for a donation of $35, get you a seat in a fully stocked party van, unlimited access to the Volcano vaporizer during the ride, free goodies from the places we visit, and free camping gear.
Now, these have to
Go
be
to
medical
5
marijuana
Club.
patients, right? You can only take
Only for
this club
Oh, and their
crawl.
fee, that's right.
Yeah, you have to be an Oregon medical marijuana patient, and you visit medical marijuana dispensaries.
That's right, and clubs.
Okay. Go right ahead.
Every
I
night
just
we're
have to
gonna go
throw
to
that
5
in there.
local clubs.
What was that? Did we lose that call? Well, maybe we can get him to call back in. I'm not sure exactly why. Those cell phones, they're so temperamental. You know, we have some film clips that we're going to run tonight. Are any of those ready to go? Not yet? Well, we'll get them ready. Hopefully we'll know soon. So, as you know, Casper, right after last week's show, I hopped on a plane and went to Seoul, South Korea.
That had to be exciting.
It was interesting. I don't know if exciting is exactly the right word, but I went there and helped a variety of medical marijuana patients. One fellow's a famous South Korean basketball player. He played basketball at Brigham Young University here in Utah, and he went back there and played for the Kia Motors Hyundai team in South Korea and coached the team and came down with Lou Gehrig's disease, or ALS, back about 10 years ago. Today, he can only breathe with a respirator. He eats through a tube. His name's Park Sung-il. He can only really move his eyes, and the way he communicates is they put a little board in front of him, and then they point at the various Korean characters, and he moves his eyes to indicate that's the character he wants to use. But he is very hopeful that using cannabinoids, CBD and THC, might help him stop the progression of the disease or maybe even reverse some of its effects. So I met with him and gave him a little bit of cannabis extract, and hopefully that will help. We also met with a couple of hospitals, hospices, places where they treat neurodegenerative diseases and cancer, and have a hospice to help medical marijuana patients. So they're actually talking about bringing patients from Korea here to the United States so they can get a medical marijuana permit. Our state of Oregon is the only state that will issue non-state residents a medical marijuana permit. Anyone in the United States can get an Oregon, who has a qualifying medical condition and a doctor's recommendation, can get an Oregon medical marijuana permit. And if you're from another country, if you have a medical visa to visit the United States, then you can get an Oregon medical marijuana permit.
Does their country recognize our license? I mean, because you stated
No,
that
they would have to come here and be treated here in the United States.
And as long as they're under treatment, stay here.
Yes, yeah.
Because you pointed out that if there's THC in their hair follicles or even in their blood samples when they're...
I pointed that out before the show. That's
they
true.
can be
the
arrested.
Korean law is
Yes.
that people who test positive for marijuana can be arrested for cannabis. So it was a kind of a risky trip. But
Very much so.
I flew over
I could
there
never go.
on Saturday, landed on Sunday, went and visited patients in hospitals on Monday, and then went back here on Tuesday.
So what was the purpose of your trip? To go around and say
To meet
marijuana's
with
good
patients?
and wave
No.
at people like the Queen?
No,
and-
I went and met with patients, and I helped this fellow, Park Sung-il,
Okay.
and brought him some cannabis extract. And to try to I talked to the hospital administrators about how cannabis can help stop cancer and stop the progression of neurodegenerative diseases. That was the point.
Okay.
And in fact, the people in South Korea bought my ticket to go there. So I flew over there, and they put me in a hotel for a couple of days and then came back. But I just have to talk about that here on the show. And we have a studio audience member who has a comment here. Go right ahead.
Hey, Paul, I just want to address the issue of people that are in trouble because they got caught with some cannabis in their urine or whatever, blood. I have a friend, Jared, whatever. Anyway, he got busted, and he went to diversion, and a few months into that, he got popped on a P test because they found cannabinoid. They found, I guess, stuff in his urine, and
So he was on some kind of court.
That's right, and
Yeah.
he was able to prove by some kind of testimony from doctors that the cannabis is in your it gets stored in your fat, and if you're losing weight or if you anytime you lose weight, it instantly gets released into your bloodstream. So you could be several months down the road and you start losing weight, and there you are. You're going to test positive. So he got off based on that.
I see. Well, good, good. It's a good point. We have some film clips. I would expect that one of them's ready to roll now. So let's go ahead and run one of those, and we'll be back in just a moment after this brief.
Good pot, Mary. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that. That was a great brownie. The only thing I really noticed is my mouth is really dry.
Oh, rehydrate. Rehydrate. That's one of our
That's another main thing about the medicinal use of it, is that you drink so many more fluids because your mouth, for whatever cannabinoid is in it that gives you the cotton mouth, you drink more fluids. I just brought this over. This is my plant, and I brought it over today to have the kids sex it. They tell me it's a female.
Yeah, that's
And it's
a
about-
female.
It's about this tall.
You mean at
and
your
it's
age you can't?
Loaded with buds.
At your age, you can't tell the difference between male and female?
Hell no.
My name is Mary Ganoy. I'm 42 years old. I was born in 1951. My mother had cancer of the cervix. When she was pregnant with me, they were able to operate and get the cancer. And after the cancer was removed, the doctor decided to shrink the scar on her abdomen while I was still, in the uterus. And so they did several x-ray treatments, radiation treatments, to shrink the scar on her stomach. And 4 months later, I was born with the radius bone missing in both of my arms, and a bone missing both of my legs, and I had club feet, and I have radial club arms. I was a patient at Shriners Hospital for crippled children for 16 years, and I've had several operations, and I use marijuana for medicine. I use it for pain because I'm allergic to all pain medications other than Demerol injections.
My name is Barbara Sweeney, and I'm 39 years old. And in May of '92, I found out I had AIDS. But during the wasting syndrome, they gave me 6 months to a year to live. And they also gave me Ensure, Resource, all these supplement drinks to drink to try to help me put weight on. And by doing that, it intensified this yeast infection. I have a chronic yeast infection in my esophagus. That's what gives me my AIDS diagnosis. It intensified it to the point that I couldn't eat, so I couldn't therefore gain any weight. And at that time, I was taking AZT, and they put me on DDI. I had just found out I was scared shit. So anything they gave me, I was willing to take it, thinking, God, it's going to save my life. I got to do something. I was totally blown away with the diagnosis to begin with. But, and then when they told me I had 6 months to a year to live, I flipped out and decided I better call my mother. And that was like 3 weeks after I found out my original diagnosis. And I told her what they said, and she said, fuck them, they're not God. And she came out for the summer and spent like $3,000 getting me like an eighth of pot, because I couldn't afford it. It was $60, every 3 days. And in that time, I went from 98 pounds to 122 pounds.
My name's Tony Herrera, and I use marijuana for my pain. Back in '75, I got hit by a drunk driver, and it broke my whole body up in half, all my legs, my arms. Anyway, I'm in a lot of pain. Vicodin takes the pain away, maybe for an hour or two. They don't want you to take that more than 4 to 5 hours. So for 2 hours, I'm in desperate pain because I can't take no Vicodin. I only took it like 2 hours ago. So then I can use the marijuana to help me get to the 5 hours.
I do use it daily, and I find that by keeping the levels in my blood high enough, it can prevent neurological problems. I still have some neurological problems. However, I'm able to control grand mal seizures. Truly, it's freedom.
You mean it's more effective than any drugs that you were taking?
I mean, it's the only thing that is effective. The other drugs were not controlling my seizures.
In Valerie's case, we've been together 20 years. I was there with her the whole time when she was having grand mal seizures and giving her pharmaceutical drugs. And to see the comparison of what she was like on pharmaceutical drugs as compared to what she's like on marijuana, it's like night and day.
My name is Mary Rathbun, much better known as Brownie Mary Rathbun. I have severe arthritis. I have 2 knee replacements, and I have it in my back. Why should I get hooked on Percocet? My doctor will give me Percocet because I do more than any 70-year-old lady he's ever put 2 knees in. So he'd give me Percocet or whatever I needed because he knows I wouldn't abuse it. but I much prefer marijuana. It's much better. Helps a hell of a lot more.
How?
And why should I get hooked on Percocet?
Well, yeah, but how does marijuana help?
It totally relaxes you. It relaxes your muscles. It makes it easier to walk. It's not a total panacea for pain. It won't totally get the pain gone like morphine or something, but it works inwardly to help you relax and walk.
This is a video production. It's about a dozen years old, called Let My People Grow. I recognize Brownie Mary Rathbun. She passed away about 10 years ago, so it's a dated production, but it talks about the medical use of marijuana, and one of the videos that helped get medical marijuana legal here. So we have a couple of phone callers standing by. Welcome to the show, caller. Well, not that one. Let's try this other one. Hello, caller. Hello?
Well, one thing I've noticed by going through my archives, and like your archives, is that the material stays fresh. I mean, even though it's 10 years old, the fact is it doesn't change. Medical marijuana is good for cancer. Medical marijuana is good for a variety of ails and pain. And industrial hemp does make 50,000 different products. And if the message is 10 years old or 100 years old, truth is truth. It does not change.
That's true. So if you have a question or comment for us tonight, you can call us at 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. So your broadcast, I know, is getting you tired, working around the clock with people from all over the world and your new Time for Hemp radio network.
Yeah, we kicked off the day with broadcast straight out of Paris, France, French version of Time for Hemp. And then we went on to Steve Bloom later on in the afternoon doing Celeb Stoner, and in between that we had a little bit of me time doing Time for Hemp. And then we got Debbie Goldsberry broadcasting early on Friday evenings, and then tonight we got T.S. Love, and we've also got Tara Joyce. And so we are actually developing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week worth of broadcasting. Next week we got, as always, new programming coming to the Time for Hemp Broadcasting Network. We got Judge James Gray doing a special on the 5th, and Chris Conrad's going to be starting an every Monday news program. And it's just exciting to see the number of activists who are having an opportunity to get their voice raised and bring with them so many other guests that have so much to share.
All right, and so that website is time4hemp.com. Let's see if we can get a caller in here. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hi, you guys. How you doing?
Hi,
Hey.
Nikki.
Sounds like there are two people in there.
No, it's just maybe I'm echoing. I'm sorry.
No, it's Nikki and one of the voices in her head.
How's it going, fellas?
Pretty well. How are you?
Good. Nice to see you back, Paul. And I just
Thank you.
wanted to tell you and Casper, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be on the show with you guys last week. I got so many compliments this week. It was crazy.
All right. Well, good.
Yeah.
So
I just
we're,
wanted
some
to really
people are
tell
watching.
you guys thanks a lot.
Good.
And if I get up in time tomorrow to do the music show, you'll be on the music show tomorrow.
Diggity Dank Market on Sunday too, guys.
How did that go
From 10 to
last week?
7 p.m.
So did you have a busy time last week, last Sunday?
We did. We had a really good time. We had about 10 vendors. We're at about 11 right now for this Sunday, and it looks like it's going to be a really fun week. And we got canna massages, and it's going to be a really good time.
All right. Well, we wish you the best, Nikki.
All
Thanks
right,
for
thank
coming
you
on last
guys,
week,
I'll
and
talk to you
have a good
tomorrow,
evening.
Casper,
All
and
right.
thanks a lot, and I love you guys a lot.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
Right, bye, guys.
So we have another caller. Welcome to our show, caller. Not that one. We thought we had another caller again. Well, that's what they told me anyway. Let me just show you a book that is very influential for our marijuana movement. This is the latest edition of Jack Harris, The Emperor Wears No Clothes. You can come by and pick up a copy of this at our office at either 2712 Northeast Sandy Boulevard. It's a benefit for our petition drive, or you can come by the THCF Medical Clinic at 105 Southeast 18th Avenue, or just give us a call at 503-235-4606. Not only do we have this latest edition of Jack's book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes, We also have these Jack-in-the-Box versions that comes with this book, a little pop-up of Jack and ending marijuana prohibition, a video produced called the Hemperor, and another book called Grass to Rate Cannabis that Jack wrote before he wrote this one. So you can get that as well at those locations. We have another caller standing by. Welcome to the show, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Howdy.
A friend suffers from asthma symptoms, and he recently stopped smoking cannabis for 3 months, and his breathing improved. And then when he resumed smoking cannabis, his breathing worsened again. And my question is twofold. I believe you stay on the cutting edge, Paul, of the medical issues regarding cannabis. And do you know of any evidence suggesting a vaporizer might help the symptoms of asthma?
Yes, there are a number of studies that show that cannabis helps asthma. I have a number of antique medicines, including smoked ones, for asthma as well. And so I started smoking back in the 70s, and then in the 90s, or actually about 10 years ago, about 2001, I started using a vaporizer instead. I had, after 30 years, a smoker's cough and phlegm, and then after switching to the vaporizer, that went away. So it is a lot better for your lungs. In fact, when you inhale cannabis vapor, you're not getting any combustion byproducts. You're just getting the cannabinoids, which have a strong antioxidant effect, and I believe it's pretty useful, actually.
And I learned this week from having Kelly Kristen from KDK Distributors on as a guest on the show. Kelly sells and distributes vaporizers and has for about 15 years now. His comment is, when you begin to use a vaporizer, turn the heat up slightly, and then each time you fill up the bag, turn it up a little higher till you get to full temperature on your third bag. And another little tip is to put a little drop of water in on top of the marijuana that you're vaporizing. That way you don't get that really sore throat from having a dry vape going into your throat and the heat. And I tried that, and within a day, the soreness in my throat disappeared. It was just a really wonderful tip from Kelly. So when you begin to vape your medication, vape it on a low heat first, and then also make it a point to the first time when you put it in there, add a little drop of water to make it a little more cool and moist, and your throat will be very happy that you did such a thing.
Well, thank you. Paul, you used to recommend the Volcano. What is the latest technology?
You know, I still like my Volcano. I still use my Volcano and carry it with me almost everywhere I go. And so I recommend that. They're kind of expensive, but there are a lot of other good vaporizers out there. A lot of people are using extracts with little vapor pens. That works as well. There's one out there called the Packs that you can use ground up cannabis just straight in, and that's a handheld unit that seems to work well for a lot of people. But I still think my Volcano vaporizer, which is a German model from Stork and Bickel, that's the best one out there.
And there is the vaporizer that's been given away for free every Tuesday. You can write to Kelly Kristen at KDK Distributors, and they give a herbal air vaporizer. You can Google that as well. It's a lot like
and
a
those
Volcano.
Work pretty well as well.
Very nice. And Kelly likes to make it a point to make them available for free. He gives away 1 or 2 a month to medical marijuana patients who cannot afford a
so
good
you just
vaporizer.
write them a letter
and let them know what the deal is while you're not well.
I've known several
you can't
people
afford
who
it.
he've sent them to.
And they're very nice, and they're very expensive vaporizers, and they do a wonderful job. And you can find out more by listening to Time for Hemp every Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific time, and tune in when Kelly's on the show.
KDK is up in Canada, so
they
you can
are.
look them up there on the internet.
And he pays for the shipping as well, so it's completely free to the patient.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. We have another film clip. This is another old video. It's just called High. Hi. Okay, well, for some reason the video was frozen there. You were saying very interesting film there, right?
Yeah, very interesting. She was so high she couldn't move.
We have another caller here. Welcome to the show, caller.
He was so high he couldn't talk.
Hello, caller.
How are you guys doing?
We're doing very well. How are you? We're dealing with
Doing
some
good,
technical
doing good.
glitches here tonight, but you know we're struggling on.
There you go. Well, this is Chris again. I'm glad I finally got through after a few tries.
Okay. So you were talking about the benefit for medical patients, the Cannabis Club Crawl, where you drive them around to how many different dispensaries?
We go out every Friday, and usually we try to hit anywhere from 4 to 5 different clubs and dispensaries around town.
I see. So you're out there tonight going around with, how many people are on your Cannabis Club Crawl tonight?
Well, tonight, as a matter of fact, it's right after Halloween, so there's been a lot of, not too many people wanting to get out there, but, gotten the word out, and so, really expecting a big one by next Friday for sure.
I see. Okay, and how do people find out more about your Cannabis Club Crawl?
Well, they can check us out on the web at cannabisclubcrawlpdx.blogspot.com, or they can follow us on Twitter at Canna Club Crawl.
Canna Club Crawl. Okay. Or if they're interested, they can give us a call at 503-235-4606. Right there. Find out more.
Or they can download this from the YouTube and listen to it over and over until they finally write down the information.
So thank you, Chris. I guess he disappeared again. Those darn cell phones.
My, people come and go so quickly here.
So as again, I want to point out that we have these 2 initiatives out there that will legalize marijuana. Right now we're up to about 20,000 signatures on each. We need 87,000 signatures on Initiative 22. That's a statutory measure, a lot like last year's Measure 80. And so we need 87,000 signatures. We're at about 27,000 total signatures now. We really want to turn in about 120 to 140,000 to ensure qualification. We also have about 20,000 signatures on our constitutional amendment to end adult marijuana prohibition. It just simply says that people can possess, use, and grow cannabis and its extracts, and the state can regulate that for public safety. It would just end prohibition now. And so to get involved in those petition campaigns, call us at 503-235-4606. Again, that number is 503-235-4606. Or come to our office at 2712 Northeast Sandy Boulevard. Or you can go to our website at crrh.org or hemp.org, HEMP.org. These petition campaigns are going on right now. We also have a door-to-door canvassing campaign that has raised over $60,000 from about 2,500 donors. And so if some of our door-to-door campaigners come by raising money for CRRH, we hope you will help them out and help support our campaign.
And if you can't give money, give bud.
Well, we can't do anything with bud.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I can.
Don't give them bud.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, but yeah, cash helps, or you can just sign the petition. That's, of course, very helpful as well. Well, we are going to go out with another great song from John Cornette here in just a minute. You want to put in another shameless plug for your...
Can't help it.
I guess
do.
You got to.
We got great people. We've even got Cannabis Common Sense on now.
Tonight's our first night on your radio network.
Well, we run them on Sundays. We don't want to compete with you. We don't want to draw away from the audience. You're already on Ustream, so we're not going to be in direct competition.
Okay.
By having a live broadcast and direct competition with your live broadcast. What we do is we rebroadcast on Sundays what's happened here on Friday nights, so people can hear it twice, and then they come to our website to find your content.
Okay.
Because we love you too much to even try to even supersede your traffic to your website. And we have new guests coming on, a new host coming on next week. We got Chris Conrad with the West Coast Leaf. Judge James Gray is going to be doing a special on Tuesday about the educational systems here in America and how they need to be improved. And we got Debbie Goldsberry now, who's doing it every Friday. We got Cannabis Common Sense. I'm on the network if you care, and every Monday through Friday at midnight to 2 a.m. Tara Joyce has a great show. So please make it a point to go and take time for hemp. Share us with your friends.
So in addition to our petition campaigns, we also have clinics all over the United States. If someone you know, a loved one or yourself, need help finding a doctor who can help you with a medical marijuana permit anywhere in the United States, or for that matter anywhere in the world, you can call us at that number there on your screen. Throughout the United States, it's 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. And we have doctors who can help you. So far, we have helped patients in 11 states and 60 cities all over the United States, and we're just about to open up in Maine and the East Coast as well. So we're in the process of that. And you can tune in to our show here live every week, Friday night at 8 o'clock Pacific time. I want to thank you folks for watching. I'm going to go out with another great song from John Cornette. Tune in next week and help us restore hemp.
We like train wreck, northern lights. We like hash too, sour diesel. Life is good. Life is good. That's right. Life is good for you and me. So good. So good.